and faithful viewers alike, welcome to a video by me, Cracken Geek Productions. These are 5 underrated stories that you should give a second watch. So in Doctor Who, the classic era we'll be focusing on this video, there are lots of stories that get a really good rap because they're great stories and they deserve to be appreciated. However, there's some other stories that are really good as well. These aren't okay stories, these are good stories, but for some reason Whovians don't like them. So I think that lots of people should give these stories a second try. If you have any ideas for stories that you think Whovians should give a second try, why don't you leave it in the comment section below. And without any further ado, let's get on with the actual video. Now, my 5th story that I think people should give another go is Doctor Who and the Silurians, or Doctor Who the Silurians, depends which way you call it. But it is not as underrated as the others because this one, lots of people understand it's a good episode, but still people don't quite appreciate it just yet. I love it for one reason, and one reason alone. It was filmed very near the area I lived in my childhood, and it's quite close to my house. But I also appreciate it as a great story. It is 7 parts long, so I do appreciate it's quite a slow pace, but it is really quite interesting and very political as it explores how the human race came to be, and there's a lot of science in it. Again, slow pace, but I think if you can overlook the slow pace, I think a lot of Whovians would enjoy it more if they just give it a second chance. The Silurians, they're really good, although their costumes aren't amazing. You can sort of see, if I turn it onto the back here, you can sort of see where the headpiece ends. The dinosaur's pretty good, that's pretty good effects, and the Third Doctor and Liz Shaw are a brilliant combination in this episode, and the Brigadier, he's great in it. It's a bit of an on-off story because it portrays a bit of a war between the two races, with the Silurians getting an advantage and the humans getting an advantage, but it is brilliant. It explores that there can be a peaceful way out of situations, and sometimes there isn't. I think that Whovians should just give it a second go. If they don't like the pace again, they can say that they don't like it. But Whovians who just watch it once have got to screw loose, to be honest, because you can't say you don't like it until you've tried it a few times. Anyway, this one is not as underrated as the other 4 on my list. And at 4th place is The Edge of Destruction. This was the 3rd ever episode to be recorded, and I think Whovians and people just forget it because it's, how shall we put this? Well, quite forgetful, actually. Nothing really happens in it, but I like it because you have the 4 main characters of the early years of Doctor Who. They really get explored in this episode, and it's the first time when we really get to have a look inside the TARDIS. You have to buy it as part of the beginning of the box set, obviously. The threat, there isn't really a threat in this, but it is a bit like Midnight in a way, how you see the characters really change, except it's done with the companions. So people who enjoy the episode Midnight, I think, should give this a second chance, and who knows, they might appreciate it as much as I do, because I love this story. In fact, it's my favourite from the beginning box set. The beginning box set's a great box set to start off with because it's the beginning. So yes, I think that Whovians should just give The Edge of Destruction another go. Okay, on to my next one, which is Dragonfire. I absolutely adore this story. It is so brilliant, in my opinion. It's a great character piece for Ace, as she likes to call herself, and lots of. Season 24 is not a very popular season for Whovians, and I will admit it is my least favourite from my favourite Doctor's era. But I still agree it has some gems in it, and Dragonfire I really enjoy. I think the reason why Whovians hate this is because of the cliffhanger. Yes, the literal cliffhanger, where the Doctor hangs off a cliff with his brolly. But, if you overlook that, it's a really good episode. There's lots to enjoy. Kane as the villain, oh, he's brilliant. Brilliant performance there by, I've forgotten the actor. And Sylvester McCoy, he's clearly having a lot of fun in the role, and he really has got into the role at this time. He's sort of getting more into the darker Time Lord. Oh, knocked it over, sorry. That I really enjoy. But the reason I think it gets a bad rap is just the cliffhanger. And overlook it, guys. You will enjoy this, I can guarantee you. And the penultimate one on my list is one that you might be quite surprised, because I feel that loads of Whovians absolutely adore this episode, and I think it's only for one reason. You might be able to guess what this next one is. It is Warriors of the Deep. Now, you're probably looking at me like, Cracken, what on earth are you thinking here? I mean, Warriors of the Deep should be called Warriors of the Cheap. And yes, it was made on a bit of a bad budget. But, if you look at it, it is actually, again, quite a political story. I enjoy it for what it is. Now, the effects are very ropey, very, very ropey. And there is one reason why every Whovian seems to hate this episode, and that is, if I find it on the back and move inwards a bit, the Murker. Right. For those of you who don't know, the Murker is like this monstrous creature who can destroy anything in its way, except it was made the same way as a pantomime horse is made. You have one person acting in the front and one person acting in the back. Yes, it is very shoddy, very, very shoddy. It's ropey, cheap. But if you look past that monster that was only on the screen for about a minute, there is quite a bit to enjoy in there. There is a lot of conspiracy, a lot of terror in it, and it is really quite enjoyable. I think that Whovians who don't like the Murker just think, rubbish effects, rubbish story. But that's no way to act. Come on, we're better than that. So, for goodness sake, guys, give Warriors of the Deep a second chance. But Warriors of the Deep is not the one that I think people should give a second chance more than any other. And that second chance one is The Happiness Patrol. Like many stories on this list, there is one reason why Whovians hate this. Candyman! The Candyman. One of the most infamous Doctor Who villains, to join the likes of brilliant villains like the Absorbler and that thing from The Creature from the Pit. No, only joking, it's rubbish. But just because of one villain, that isn't even a major villain, and I think he's quite good actually. I enjoy the Candyman. I don't think that's any way to act. It shows a Earth colony, and I love episodes like this, that is clearly under threat. Everything's very pink on this, and to be honest, quite a pink story. It shows a world where being sad is a crime, and what's her name, Helen A, is quite obviously based off Margaret Thatcher. Helen A is like the governor of this whole world. It is quite enjoyable, and it shows that it has quite a good message in it. Happiness is not happiness unless it's paired with sadness. Okay, guys, that were 5 stories that I think people should give a second chance and maybe even watch them again. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and maybe even a subscribe. I'm just starting out and I'd really appreciate it. If you have any episodes that you think are incredibly underrated and should be given a second go, why don't you leave it down in the comment section below. And until then, have a good one. Bye!